the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Incense offering ceremony took place in Hung King's temple. And thunderstorms caused great damage in northern mountainous areas. In our world news, EU leaders to demand a sweeping competitiveness drive at summit.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, VTV News starts right now.
Good morning, it is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Trân with the top stories. Now on the morning of April 18th, the 10th of March lunar calendar, an incense offering ceremony to commemorate the Hung Kings was held. The ceremony was held at the Hung King's Temple historical relic site in Phu Thọ province and was attended by Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and many leaders of the party, state and the Vietnam Fatherland Front.
Continue the tradition of remembering one's roots under the spirit of great national solidarity. On Hung King's anniversary, millions of Vietnamese turned to the temple to honor the deeds of the ancient ancestors who founded, built, and defended the country. In sacred moment, on behalf of the Vietnamese people, including those living overseas, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and other leaders of the party, state, and the Vietnam Fatherland Front respectfully offer incense and commemorated Hung Kings to highlight the spirit of patriotism, the will to be independent and self-reliant, as well as to promote the strength of great national unity in building a strong and prosperous country and firmly protecting Vietnam's independence, sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity.
I sincerely pray to the spirit of the ancestors to protect and bless our country with prosperous society, families and people, with favorable weather and crops, with luck and fortune. I pray that our country will overcome all obstacles and achieve its goals. And I hope that the descendants of Lạc Hồng in Vietnam and abroad will remain happy, healthy and peaceful.
Following the ceremony, the Prime Minister offered incense at the Giếng Temple and offered flowers at the relief depicting alcohol, talking to the Pioneer Division. On September 19, 1954, President Ho Chi Minh returned to Phu Thọ, offered incense to commemorate the Hung Kings, as well as meat and assigned tasks to officers and soldiers of the division before returning to the capital city. At Giếng Temple, President Ho Chi Minh reminded the soldiers that the Hung Kings have founded the country. We must work together to protect the country.
Now, after attending the incense offering ceremony in commemoration of the Hung Kings, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính visited the Command and Control Center of the Phu Thọ Police on April 18th and examined the construction of this northern province's House of Culture and Arts. At the Command and Control Center of the Phu Thọ Department of Public Security, the Prime Minister praised local police's efforts and achievements in implementing Plan 06 and requested the police of Phu Thọ press on with safeguarding security and order, be close to the people, and promote science, technology application, and digital transformation at the grassroots level. Inspecting the construction of the Phu Thọ House of Culture and Arts in Việt Trì City, the Prime Minister praised the workers' presence at the construction site despite the public holiday and requested provincial leaders, contractors, and workers continue efforts to carry out and complete the project on schedule. In honor of the 70th anniversary of the Điện Biên Phủ victory, Secretary of the Party Central Committee and President of the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee Đỗ Văn Chiến visited and presented gifts to the families of former youth volunteer Đỗ Thị Lựu in Cơ Quan Residential Group and former Điện Biên soldier Bùi Đình Túng in Tân Bắc Residential Group, Sơn Dương Town, Sơn Dương District, Tuyên Quang Province. Expressing genuine concern for their well-being, the president of the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee encouraged the families to uphold the revolutionary tradition and inspire their children and grandchildren to adhere to the party's and the nation's policies, thus contributing to the homeland's construction and progress. 70 years after the Điện Biên Phủ victory, looking back at the 3 attacks by the Vietnamese army on French army bases. Each attack left a unique historical mark. Particularly, the second attack was considered critical to the victory of the entire campaign. Now lasting nearly a month, targeting area that consists of many battalions stationed separately. This is the largest scale attack since the formation of the Vietnamese army until the Điện Biên Phủ campaign.
2 weeks after the opening attack occurred in Điện Biên Phủ Valley, silence covered the entire front like the calm before a big storm. For 2 entire weeks, the battle in Điện Biên took place underground.
The Điện Biên Phủ base is built like layers of onion. The Vietnamese army slowly took apart the base like taking apart an onion. But surely, once we get to the core, the French army had no choice but to succumb to the tears. And that was how we conducted our forces.
Late in the afternoon of March 30, 1954, Viet Minh artillery bombarded the high points protecting the De Cascris command center. With difficult terrain and concentration of 40 out of 49 French military bases, the second attack did not end as quickly as initially anticipated. The Vietnamese and French armies struggled on C1 Hill for 20 days and nearly a month on A1 Hill. The combination of seasonal rain and intense sunny days almost asphyxiate the battlefield.
We could not decide the battle at A1 Hill after several scuffles. At that time, it was important to come up with a new strategy. This strategy is unconventional for the army since we were used to direct attack. Now we have to be creative and attack in multiple directions.
This has brought about a new attack pattern, underground warfare. The trenches were dug over 100 kilometers long, closing into the French command center.
By closing in, the French could not receive supplies from the plain. Instead, we managed to retrieve their food and ammunition. There was nothing they could do.
Now the trenches dug by Viet Minh were only 300 meters away from the enemy command center. The French were clustered into a 1 square kilometer area. Victory drew ever closer for the Vietnamese army.
The main components of Long Thành International Airport Phase 1 and Terminal T3 of Tân Sơn Nhất Airport must be completed by April 30th, 2025. Now, to do this, investors and construction units must prioritize this task to shorten the progress by about 3 months. However, there will also be difficulties that require flexible and timely solutions to accomplish this goal.
Due to April's dry and scorching weather hitting the southern region, Airports Corporation of Vietnam, ACV, said they have to construct some components at night, which caused additional costs for contractor.
Aside the standard 8-hour work period, we also work overtime to comply with the deadline.
Several other components are also facing difficulties that hamper the construction pace, such as site clearance, construction material scarcity, rising input prices, and high-voltage projects surrounding the area that have yet to be relocated.
We hope that the province will be able to hand over the rest of the area as soon as possible so that the contractors can organize construction schedule to ensure timely progress.
Thanks to good preparation, the domestic materials have been procured and gathered at the construction site. As for imported materials, we are waiting for approval so that we can finish building the rough layout.
To ensure progress, the management board and contractors closely inspect each bidding package so that none of it fall behind schedule.
We are employing advanced technology and machinery to build structures in smaller bulk to increase the building speed and ensure the timely schedule of the project.
To ensure construction during rainy season, we will strive to complete the roof component of the project to make it easier for the construction of other components. We are prepared to build the drainage system to be ready by July this year.
Under the government's guiding spirit of overcoming all obstacles and employing flexible solutions, up to now, 70% of the takeoff and landing runways Phase 1 of the Long Thanh International Airport have finished construction. Meanwhile, the rough construction of Terminal T3 at Tan Son Nhat Airport is also 81% completed. Both projects are poised to be completed on April 30th, 2025.
Coming up next on VTV News. Thunderstorms caused great damage in northern mountainous areas. And let's look at the top holiday destinations sought after for April 30th, May 1st. You're watching our VTV News Live. Now, last Saturday night, a high-altitude wind convergence area reaching up to 5,000 meters, combined with converging moist clouds, resulting in thunderstorms, hail, and even tornadoes in several northern mountainous provinces. Now, this weather phenomenon damaged houses and crops in those provinces. Now, more in the following story.
In Bắc province, the fury of nature left 355 homes stripped of their roofs and damaged.
In Cao Bang, hundreds of homes and schools lost their roofs to the storm's force. Bảo Lâm and Hạ Long districts faced the worst, with dozens of hectares of crops damaged.
In Sinh Hồ district of Lai Châu province, torrential rain and swirling winds capsized a boat, leaving 2 individuals missing.
Meanwhile, Mường Khương district, Lào Cai province, a violent thunderstorm batters several communities, ripping the roofs off 15 houses, with 9 houses completely stripped and 6 partially damaged.
This year's Vietnam Ethnic Groups Culture Day focuses on activities to pass down cultures of ethnic groups through generations. The event was held at the Cultural Village of Vietnamese Ethnic Groups on Thursday. More on this in the following story.
Despite rain, many people flocked to the Cultural Village of Vietnamese Ethnic Groups in Dong Mo, Sơn Tây, Hanoi. Visitors were captivated by the unique folk songs and dances of ethnic groups at the event.
I think this is an ideal place for the whole family to unwind, experience performances, and enjoy ethnic dishes during the holidays.
Over the past years, this artisan has introduced the traditional epics, songs, and dances of ethnic groups to many young individuals.
We should organize festivals and spaces to tell the cultural stories about gongs, straw liquor.
The event comprised a meaningful ceremony to honor village elders, village heads, and artisans. These individuals put significant efforts on preserving and promoting national cultures.
This active participation of leaders at all levels, especially those in the localities, demonstrates the significant attention to village elders, commune chiefs, and artisans. Those are people holding great cultural knowledge of local ethnic groups.
Vietnam Ethnic Groups Culture Day is an opportunity to celebrate the cultural heritage of the country. The event also contributes to strengthening the great solidarity of ethnic groups and enhancing the understanding and love of Vietnamese people to national culture.
Vietnam Day of Persons with Disabilities comes on April 18th each year. Vietnam has 7.6 million people with disabilities, accounting for 7.06% of the population. The country promulgated the law on people with disabilities in 2010 and ratified the International Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities, CRPD, in 2015. Since then, Vietnam has made significant progress in supporting and protecting the rights of these people.
As a person with severe disability, Big Ngọc does not have to pay for railway tickets. In addition, she also receives free medical examinations and treatment in accordance with her health insurance card.
For the past 10 years, people with disabilities have received free medical services. We also get free bus rides, helping us to travel and to meet others easily. This in turn has encouraged me to become more confident.
Besides access to transportation and healthcare, the party and state prioritizes support policies for people with disabilities. Over 81% of primary school-age students with disabilities attend school at the proper age. Among them, 95% of students study in inclusive schools. Nearly 5% of students study in specialized schools and classes.
There are clear regulations on tuition exemption and reduction for eligible students, as well as priority in admission and enrollment.
As a middle-income country, Vietnam's progress, especially when it comes to social assistance and social protection, has been commendable. So 94% of those Vietnamese who are considered to have severe disability or very severe disability, more than 91% of Vietnamese receive free healthcare with disabilities, like a comprehensive framework that includes healthcare, it includes education, it includes employment and sports and access to information.
In addition to empowering support, each person with disability also strives to integrate and contribute to society.
We are working with authorities to provide insights on effective policies to incorporate people with disabilities into society. Additionally, we also organize programs to raise public awareness on the role of people with disabilities in our community.
Vietnam has ratified the National Program on People with Disabilities in accordance with international convention and policies on the rights of people with disabilities. These efforts have affirmed Vietnam's commitment to ensure a fair and sustainable future for all, leaving no one behind.
Now, as domestic airfare prices rise sharply, many people are opting for alternate transportation methods like trains or buses for travel or returning home during the national holiday on April 30th. The Western Bus Station in Ho Chi Minh City can accommodate a 30% increase in passengers compared to the same period. At its peak, it served around 62,000 passengers. Additionally, the Saigon Railway Transport Joint Stock Company has added more trains from Ho Chi Minh City to other cities and vice versa, with discounts ranging from 5% to 30% available. With just over a week remaining until the April 30th May 1st holiday, anticipation is building as workers prepare for a 5-day break. Understandably, there's a surge in tourism demand, with Đà Lạt and Da Nang emerging as top picks among Vietnamese travelers for the upcoming holidays, according to a recent survey by Booking.com. 2/3 of respondents express a preference for cooler destinations like Đà Lạt to escape the heat. Moreover, coastal getaways have captured the interest of domestic tourists, with Da Nang leading the pack. Following closely behind are Nha Trang, Vũng Tàu, Hội An, Phan Thiết, and Mũi Né. Now, during holidays, people often relax with family and friends by traveling to popular tourist destinations or exploring new places. If you have just one day off, spending peaceful moments in a mountainous village and immersing yourself in nature can be a great choice. Join us in the following story to enjoy such a trip.
Như cuộc sống ở đây một ngày dậy về làm chè dai hái chè. Hái chè xong thì hái rau rừng này, là lúc cá suối này. Như cuộc sống ở đây thì cứ thế thôi.
The Thai ethnic people in Lian village typically spend their days in a peaceful manner like this. They live close to nature and smiles and joy always accompany them.
I raise chickens and ducks in my gardens and fish in these ponds. I grow vegetables in the garden.
Today, Janet and her friends enjoy a peaceful day living like the locals.
Yes.
Trying to get it. Tea fruit.
Yeah, tea fruit.
I really like this place. The space and the life here are wonderful.
palm forests, tea hills, terrains, and traditional occupations, along with the simplicity of daily life, all become assets for farmers in Lian village to create attractive tourism services.
We must always innovate in creating new services and experiences for tourists. I get to visit many places and see various approaches to community tourism.
Village experiences are increasingly being developed into appealing tourism services. Incorporating these experiences into festivals is capturing the interest of many regions. This approach aids farmers in becoming more active in tourism, particularly in rural and sustainable green tourism.
Coming up next in our world news. EU leaders to demand sweeping competitiveness drive at summit. And Security Council to vote on Palestine's bid for UN membership. Now moving on to our world news. European Union leaders are gathering in Brussels for a two-day extraordinary summit to discuss the bloc's economy and competitiveness on the global stage, among other issues. Building a common financial market for all countries using the euro currency is considered one of the main solutions.
After decades, the European single market remains a market for goods and services, yet the market's financial capital is fragmented. Even though 20 countries are using a same euro currency, each country runs a separate stock exchange market. Since the US announced the Inflation Reduction Act to support US businesses, financial capital from Europe has poured into the US in huge amounts. European investment funds annually transfer about 300 billion euros to the United States to invest in American companies. And in many cases, those American companies use money from Europe to acquire European businesses. European leaders want to deal with that situation by creating a common capital market.
The capital market is a method of mobilizing private investment for the real economy, creating more quality jobs, and developing businesses in the real economy. As for state investment, we are discussing how to ensure that each country's public budget will only be used as leverage and not fragment the domestic market.
The European Summit is discussing the direction of encouraging savings into investment, thereby creating a broader corridor for financial investors. It is estimated that 9,000 billion euros are in European saving accounts, with negligible interest rates.
The main problem is how to mobilize European savings and how to ensure a smooth conversion of these savings into investment capital. This will help to generate necessary financing.
In the ongoing meeting, European leaders are also looking for solutions to link energy and telecommunications markets and cut procedures for businesses. These solutions are expected to prevent the declining trend of European industrial competitiveness.
Also at this EU summit in Brussels, the EU leaders agreed to strengthen sanctions against Iran following Iran's missile and drone attack on Israel last Saturday. The EU leaders called on all parties to refrain as much as possible from any action that might increase tensions in the region. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said it is important that Israel will not answer with a massive attack. Also on Wednesday, finance ministers and central bank governors of the group of industrialized country, or G7, pledged close cooperation in implementing sanctions against Iran. Meanwhile, the United States and the UK also announced new sanctions targeting Iran, including its missiles and drone program. The United Nations Security Council is scheduled to vote on a Palestinian request for full UN membership. The 15-member council is due to vote on Friday on a draft resolution that recommends that the 193-member UN General Assembly admit the State of Palestine to membership of the United Nations. A council resolution needs at least 9 votes in favor and no votes by permanent members to pass. The 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council include China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. A 2/3 majority vote is necessary in the assembly for admission of a new state. Palestine is currently a non-member observer state in the United Nations. U.S. President Joe Biden called for a threefold increase in tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum to protect domestic production on chip imports. This move risks worsening trade tensions between the world's two leading economies, with a strong reaction from China. According to China's Ministry of Commerce, the U.S.'s accusation that normal trade and investment activities harm U.S. national security and corporate interests are baseless and against economic common sense. The U.S. effort is full of false accusations, misinterpreting normal trade and investment activities and blaming China for its own industrial problems. The Chinese side believes that its development is a result of technological innovation and active participation in market competition. China closely monitors the situation and will take necessary measures to protect its interests. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.